Hi, welcome to this new tutorial. Today, we are going to talk about approaches to the study of political science. This tutorial will be divided into three different topics. First, meaning of approach. Second, traditional approach. And modern approach. Let's talk about the meaning of approach. According to Van Dyck, the word approach is defined to denote the criteria employed in selecting the question to ask and the data to consider in political inquiry. According to Merriam-Webster.com, approach is a way of dealing with something or a way of doing or thinking about something. Well, political problems have been subjected to different kinds of analysis from time to time. Various explanatory methods have been followed to increase our understanding of the politics. Therefore, an approach provides framework for explanation and prediction. And according to Alan Ball, in his Modern Politics and Government, has categorized the approaches into traditional and modern or new approach. Let's start first traditional approach. Now, traditional approach is divided into four different approaches. First, normative approach, philosophical approach, historical approach, and institutional approach. Let's begin with normative approach. In the normative or classical period, political problems are analyzed philosophically. The methods which are used are deductive. In this approach, the ethical basis and moral purpose of the political community is analyzed in detail. It studies the state, government, and man on a political being is fully mixed with the pursuit of certain goals, morals, truth, or a high principles. This point basically talks about that man, government, or a state all are political entities, and because they are political entities, they are moved by certain goals, moral values, truth, or definitely they have been guided by the high principles of living together in a particular state. Therefore, normative approach stress upon the standard or values of life like justice, freedom, and happiness. Next is philosophical approach. Philosophical approach is another traditional or a classical approach to the study of political science. It is one of the oldest approaches to study the politics and also known as speculative approach. The philosophical approach attempts to find the truth of political events or incidents. Now look at these pictures. These are some of the examples of the political events or incident which happens in a state. The one side of the story is a political in nature, but one must understand that philosophical approach attempts to find the truth behind these incidents or the events which has occurred in the state. Therefore, it mainly concerned with the analysis of the nature and the fundamental attributes of the state, the concept of political obligation, the nature of political authority, and other problems of philosophical in nature. Hence, the purpose of philosophical approach is to clarify the words and the terms used by the political philosophers, because the terms spoken by the political philosophers have a deep meaning for the society and by and large to the people or the community. It also explores the objectives of political writings or the purpose of political writer. And at last, this method starts with assumptions about the nature and end of the state based on philosophical grounds. Next is historical approach. Historical approach is another traditional approach of studying political science. History serves as a best of a laboratory for political science. It is the storehouse of the past incidents pertaining to human life. Therefore, these historical movements and incidents has a great impact on human psychology as well as the philosophy which has evolved over a period of time. Therefore, the study of history gives us not only information about what happens in the past, but also about the utility and futility of various institutions of various times. History tells us how government, political parties, and many other institutions worked, their success and failure, and from these we receive lessons which guide us for the future course of action. And last, institutional approach. The institutional approach shows a shift in the scope, methods, and objective of the discipline of political science. It gives importance to the study of formal as well as informal structure of political institutions like executive, legislature, judiciary, political parties, pressure and interest groups, etc. in political system. These are some of the major institutions which plays a very important role in understanding institutional framework or institutional approaches. Therefore, it is also called structural approach. Hence, political science began to study formal governmental institutions. Therefore, the nature and structure of the legal constituted institutions became the subject matter of political science. And to conclude, therefore, political philosophers began to study the historical evolution of various political institutions. Let us start modern approach. Modern approach is divided into three different approaches. First, behavioral approach, post-behavioral approach, and last, Marxian approach. Let us begin with behavioral approach. Behavioralism is one of the most important development in the study of political science in the 20th century. It is also considered to be a new or a modern approach to the study of political science. This approach started with the protest movement in American political scientists against the traditional study of political science. They believed that the traditional approaches totally neglected the political phenomena. Therefore, they developed a new approach for the careful study of political phenomena, that is, behavior approach. The behavioral approach is about human behavior in the society. This behavior is needed to be learned. This behaviorism of human tends to influence the nature of society and its outcome. Therefore, they adopted methods like observation, survey, and measurement in political science. The exponent of these methods were Harold Laswell, George Catlin, Charles Merriam, David Easton, and etc. Now, let us begin with post-behavioral approach. Well, behavioralism failed to deal with the practical problems of the world. In fact, it failed to convert political science into a problem-solving science. It overemphasized on research methods and tools and this dissatisfaction led to the growth of a new and a strong movement called post-behavioralism. The major features of post-behavioralism are as follows. First, opposition to value-free social science. Second, a movement of protest. Third, intellectual movement. And last, to the future well-being of the society. Now let us talk about the last approach, which is Marxian approach. Marxian approach to study of political science is basically different from the traditional and modern approach. The Marxian approach provides us a theory of social change and scientific philosophy. In fact, its main ideas are found in the Communist Manifesto and Das Kapital, the two monumental works of Karl Marx. Following are the major features of Marxian approach. First, dialectical materialism. Second, historical materialism. Third, economic interpretation of history. Fourth, theory of class struggle. Fifth, labor theory of value. Sixth, theory of surplus value. Seventh, capitalism as an evil system. And last, theory of revolution. I hope you have understood the traditional and modern approach to political science. This was just a brief tutorial of these approaches. I shall cover all the approaches in detail in political science in future tutorials. If you like this video, then do give us a like. Do share this video to the larger community of political science students. Please do comment and voice out your opinion. Do subscribe to the political science tutorial. So, see you in next tutorial. Till then, have a great time and take care.